our try is some kind of higher category. More concretely speaking, infinity one category modeled by weak Kan complex as a special kind of simplicial set with nice properties, which makes this infinity one category being a topos. And not only that, we also require this topos to have some extra structure. And this structure let this topos be cohesive. But at this moment, I will not explain any of what I've said right now, because I think it's more pedagogical to stress these properties at the right time when we touch them during the lecture. So let H, this double H, be our topos, our infinity one cohesive topos, if you wish. And one crucial property of such category is the existence of factorization system inside. It means the system of morphisms, of distinguished morphisms, which go by name effective epimorphisms, and monomorphisms. But beware of this terminology. Whenever we consider infinity category, monomorphisms and epimorphisms are no longer defined as you are accustomed to define in one category theory. So the claim is that in this category there is an, you can say, orthogonal factorization system consisting of monomorphisms and effective epimorphisms, and more importantly, this factorization means that whenever we obtain any morphism, any one morphism between two objects in our topos, we can factorize it in this sense. What holds in the sense of homotopy category, right? Because those equalities hold in higher category only in the homotopic sense. So whenever we use equalities, we mean we are inside its appropriate homotopy category, where all the morphisms are encapsulated in one morphism whenever these morphisms are glued by some higher morphism. I mean, two morphisms. Morphism. Okay, and how exactly this factorization works? Well, it every time goes through something what we can construct as a check nerve of this F morphism. So let me assume I have some simplicial map between the nerve of my simplex category consisting of natural numbers and morphisms are just cofaces and codegeneracies, meaning non-decreasing maps between these natural numbers as a ordered set. And this simplicial map in its first 2 degrees can be obtained by making iterative pullbacks, or pullbacks iteratively. So, but beware of the notation, right? This object is a simplicial object, which means that we are considering also arrows in a reverse direction. And these pullbacks are, of course, higher pullbacks. So notation could coincide with notation from one category theory, but beware of some nuances. So this I define first 2 degrees of check nerve, and one nice idea which could encounter us is what about to take a colimit of this object which lands in this double H. And this is really a good idea because of some arguments which rely on the universal property of higher colimits, giving us in a universal way the canonical decomposition on these 2 morphisms. So I will just draw what I've said. I make a colimit on this diagram because every time I have a diagram in a category H, this category, because it's a topos, it has all limits. So sorry, all colimits. So I can try to do colimit on this simplicial object, which give rise to something what I will denote by this way.
And what did you write there? Co-image?
Yes, co-im 1.
Okay.
It follows the terminology in the category theory, where these objects are often called co-images of this morphism.
Okay.
And at the same time, you can define images, and the miracle of category or miracle of toposes, one of many, is that co-images and images coincide. So I can freely name it as images, but I think it's better to stress how this object originates. Okay, so having this in our hand, I claim that there is canonically given a pair of morphisms which I will denote this way. So please get familiar with this notation, because it will appear often in my talk. Whenever I take factorization of f effective epimorphism will be denoted as F prime, and monomorphism getting out of this F morphism will be denoted as a C with a subscript F. So okay, and one important property of this factorization is that this morphism is every time is always effective epimorphism, and this morphism is always monomorphism. And why am I so bothered by this factorization? Well, it is because these morphisms have very nice properties, and as we will see in the next, these properties can be encapsulated in a few lemmas, and these lemmas will help us strongly in the final in the proof of my final theorem. So let me list these nice properties. So let me assume morphisms in H which satisfy this equality. Then the following is true. The first claim is that if F and G are effective epimorphisms, then H is effective epimorphism. And the second, and maybe less obvious, statement is that if H is effective epimorphism, then we can conclude something about F itself. And the conclusion states that it is also effective epimorphism. Oh, looks nice, but what else we can say about it? Well, there is another. So,
no assumption about the G?
No. This is a reason why I said it's not that obvious as the first, because we are somehow taught to think about this property in one category setting very often, and to assume this to be true only if also G is effective epi. But yeah, this is a nice result of higher category theory. Okay. Can I switch off the projector?
Yes, sure.
Because otherwise I would say something in light blue. Okay, so another nice property of this mono-affective epi system is that the intersection of mono and epi class is exactly the class of isomorphisms. So I will sketch this very schematically because this is nothing but what I have said. So, let's say, not big deal, but as we will see, it's another very useful piece of data. And we are practically done with the recap of factorization technology itself. And we can pass, if you don't have any questions, to the story of connections.
Sorry, isomorphism is for you anything which has an inverse, or if it is mono and epi?
It is the same. If you encounter some monomorphism, which is affective epimorphism at the same time, you can conclude it is isomorphism.
It has inverse, right?
Yes.
And left inverse.
Yes, in the homotopy sense. Right. Okay, any other question? Okay, so the second part of my recapitulation is the part concerning connections. And as I promised, I'll show you two approaches, and one of them will be better for us. So there are two kinds of description what higher connection is. So it is either element of our differential cohomology theory. So we can view connections as differential cohomology datum. It's nothing but pi zero of this groupoid. I admit that this can be very obscure for you because many new letters just appeared, but I'll promise that this is not the way we are going to work. So let me just briefly comment on this set of symbols. So this is, practically speaking, this home set is computed in topos, in our topos, and home sets are no longer sets itself, but rather Kan complexes or sorry, groupoids. And groupoids modeled by some Kan simplicial sets can be made into sets by identifying points at the 0 degree of my simplicial set along the relationship of having some one morphism in common. So this is how practically we compute pi 0 of any simplicial set. This is n our base manifold. So whenever we do higher gauge theory on space-time, this M is our space-time. This G is the structure group of our gauge theory. This B is the looping functor, making group objects in H to be some nice guys sitting inside H, some pointed connected objects in our topos, and B is the differential refinement, making from ordinary sheaf cohomology the differential cohomology theory. So this is all these encapsulated in one expression should say something about connections, about higher connections. But this is not our approach. Our approach is the second one, saying that okay, these high connections can be described as well as parallel transporters. As a parallel transporters, it's nothing but this element or element of this set. Again, some symbols appeared, but don't worry. The only important change which happened is change on the first slot. Here we have a functor which make this M to be its path object, or not in the sense of homotopy theory, but you can imagine as a generalized version of path groupoid, for instance, and it is really true that after some truncation procedures, we can make out of this higher fundamental groupoid more convenient and tractable object called path groupoid or n-path groupoid. But don't worry, we would like to exploit very how to call very few, because this object is really rich, and we practically we are practically interested in its zero truncation counterpart, zero truncated counterpart. Because of some theories I will show you in the next.
So these are still flat connections?
Yes, flat in this sense. Because we have flat here. We can consider more general connections which are curved by replacing this flat B by some more rich object which is not reflected by any parallel transporter. So it means that we are at the situation practically that we have more connections in this sense than connections encoded by a parallel transporter. And those connections which comes from parallel transport are just connections furnished with some vanishing fake curvature terms.
Sorry, can you please repeat about this fake curvature?
Fake curvature.
Yeah, what you were saying, sorry.
I said that whenever we would like to consider richer structure in here, or concretely speaking, to consider connections of this kind, we can end up having connections
Which are not there.
which are not here.
Yeah. And what I was wondering, does it matter with the story about the adjusted parallel transform?
Yeah. I think it has a strong relationship because people said, okay, it's not our destiny to end up having just these parallel transporters. We are happy to adjust this object to have a richer structure in here, and the main motivation of it is to reflect also objects in this higher differential cohomology theory.
And you can adjust the second version to match with the first one? Or
I'm not really sure it matches properly. Maybe there is some cavity, but yeah, practically speaking, this is the strategy.
okay, I see.
Fine. So this is another way how we can attack the problem or the issue of higher connections. And nice feature of cohesive structure inside the tuples, inside our tuples.
So, sorry, I don't think that it's completely important, but you still insist on that they are called flat.
Yes, it's just terminology.
So every element of this P0 of this home set is flat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Nice thing about having the cohesive structure is that we are automatically given this comparison morphism, which will turn out to be a great hero of my talk, as we will see. But at this moment, we just bear with having this morphism as some kind of God-given morphism between this M and this pi. If you would like to make me saying things more properly, I should say it is a counit of an adjunction between some functors which make the cohesive structure working. So you can take it as granted that we have this morphism, which is nothing else than the morphism taking points of this manifold to the points of this manifold, and identities are also sent to identities. So passes in here are in the image of this I whenever they are contractible. Okay, so this great relationship is again not anyhow miraculous. It is ensured by the existence of this adjunction. So what I'm claiming now is that these two sets are just the same, are bijective because of this adjunction. Okay, so does it make sense? So we have a feeling that we can freely change the point of view due to this adjunction, and for some reasons I would like to emphasize this point of view, and hopefully make use of the technology factorization systems in the future. So this is my hope, and at the same time the end of recapitulation. So at this point, I'll start to say new things. So
so maybe I will ask, who proved that that's an adjunct, they are adjoint factors?
Which adjunction? This
Pi
one?
and B? Or, I mean, is it
I don't
somewhere in the
to...
literature, or
Yes,
did you
of course.
find? Okay.
For instance, Mike Schumann is very into inspecting cohesive structures in toposes,
Okay.
or you don't make a mistake when you open some books written by Urschreiber or those guys involved in higher category and topos theory.
Okay, thanks.
But this is special kind of topos. It's a cohesive
Okay.
topos. Fine. So definition. Let us have a connection in the second sense. Okay. Then let us define the underlying datum. I'll call it G as the underlying datum for this connection, and this will be nothing else than element of this set. And how can I arrive from this nabla to G? Can you help me? You can have a look above, whether we are equipped with some very nice morphism. And all of you surely see that we can define this underlying G simply as composition of this I with nabla. And this G is classified morphism for the underlying principal bundle. It is well known that this G classifies principal bundles by some pullback construction along some, or better say, whenever I have this G, this universal pullback along the G along this universal morphism gives me desired principal bundle. So I can encode principal bundles into these morphisms, and moreover, it is also observed that the correspondence between G's or homotopy classes of G's and equivalence classes of these principal bundles is the bijection. So let me now on say that this G is practically speaking the principal bundle itself, principal G bundle itself. Okay. And obviously this invariant is always in disposal. Every time we have cohesive structure, every time we have a notion of connection in the sense of parallel transporter, we can say what the underlying principle G bundle is. So the first very interesting lemma, which is has been proposed by Schreiber, is the distinguished property of this I, and it says that we have M being ordinary manifold then I is an effective epimorphism. Right? It is not that obvious because it relies on one great observation saying that these effective epimorphisms can be detected on the zero truncation level, meaning that every time we would like to prove this to be effective epimorphism in a higher category sense, we can descend to the zero truncation category and there observe whether or not is this morphism epimorphism. And after some thoughts about how these objects look in the zero truncation level, you can observe that this constant simplicial diagram doesn't change under the zero truncation operation. On the other hand, the story is a bit different in the case of fundamental groupoid, because in this object we must associate one point to the bunch of points which are glued by some smooth path. So practically speaking, we end up having a discrete set of points of path components of manifold M. But set in this vague way might sound obvious, but you can delve into some presentation of these objects into simplicial precious and do the job properly. But we don't have much time, so just believe me. Okay. And yeah, this is so we are in the first third of my talk, but we built all the necessary stuff, so everything will be fast. Now, yeah, we can dare to think about the proper application of the factorization technology inside our topos, because we have enough data for playing some games. So suppose having a morphism blah, which, as you know, encode our connection. And also suppose that G is its underlying principal G boundary. Meaning that this is the truth. Then we can make the following decomposition. This picture will be crucial, so I'm not very happy about the capacities of the blackboard which remains. But please keep this picture in mind for the future. So how can we proceed? We can factorize this morphism. And as well, we can factorize this one. Right. And what else? We can compose this morphism and get this morphism from this to this, and just say, okay, this is another step in our factorization procedure. We can decompose this morphism as well. But because of the commutativity, the V's appearing on the top of this triangle is the same as we can get from factorization this composition. This is the upshot of this diagram, let's say. And the rest of my work is just about proper naming of all morphisms in the game. So this morphism, strictly speaking, is this guy, but for a better brevity, just name it rho, and this is again this guy, and let me denote it by delta. And one nice observation is that delta is an isomorphism. But let me state it slower. So lemma for n being an ordinary smooth manifold, morphism delta is an isomorphism. Okay. And how can we prove it? Of course, from the properties of effective epimorphisms and monomorphisms. So just take a deep breath before the proof. In the meantime, I'll go to Grace, but I forgot to offer some fast sugar.
Okay.
Can I?
Thank you.
Yeah. So, right. Yeah, so some entertainment in the meantime. Can I erase this?
Yes.
So we ultimately aim to the description of this say pyramid with a focus on better understanding morphisms which appear there, and specifically speaking, the best what we can do is grasp a better understanding of what delta is. So the proof is the following. From the commutativity, we have this. Moreover, from the previous lemma, I is effective. Okay. So, from the properties of monoepimorphisms, we have that and are effective epi. Okay, and therefore delta is again effective. And the last statement needed for concluding the proof is that the intersection of monoepi classes is the class of isomorphisms. So from this lemma, we have that this is all. Okay, it's quite a nice observation because it gives us strong relationship between objects which are made fully without the notion of connection, just the principal bundle itself. And the claim is that these two objects are the same. So taking a colimit or computing the co-image of nabla completely resets the datum, the extra datum of connection, right? So this is a very strong or powerful observation, as we will see. And now another bit of story should be mentioned. Now, okay. One remark. What's actual big statement, but we don't want to delve into details. between category 1 groupoid objects in H or double H, which I'll denote as GRDD, and the full subcategory in the infinity one category sense of an arrow category what you can imagine as infinity one functors of this type, but shorter naming is on the way. And I mean the category, the subcategory I'm concerned is the full subcategory of effective epimorphisms. So and the equivalence, if you are interested how the equivalence looks, is given by our family, our Czech functor, which we are very familiar with already, and the functor which take a colimit and the colimiting morphism from the zeroth object to the colimit object is the effective epimorphism. So take from the groupoidal object this effective epimorphism. Or more properly, so this is what I have explained before. This applied on our groupoidal object or simplicial object with some Segal properties and stuff is nothing but the morphism H0 to colimit F. And the big statement is that this effective epimorphism interposes, and even bigger statement is that this is the equivalence between categories, between infinity categories. Right? You can find this discussed in great detail in Lurie's book about homotopy, higher topos theory. And why I said something about this equivalence and some groupoids inside our topos. Yeah, good question. This is because actual aim of the project is to construct generalized Atiyah sequence of algebroids. And all these happened in the category of groupoids or stacks, if you wish. So some amendments should be done. And as you can, or as you might anticipate, what is needed to be considered is applying Lie differentiation in functor. But don't mismatch it with the Lie derivative in differential geometry. It was a hard time to explain something to my colleague when we didn't get each other, because I mean the differentiation in a Lie theory, and she thought about some differentiation on the manifold. So this is what should be stressed, that to make our job done, we need to consider Lie functors, and the actual category, source category for Lie functor is not H itself. It is the category of groupoid objects in H. So we would like to reformulate the connection theory from H to groupoidal objects in H as to be able to apply Lie functor properly. But don't worry, this is the end of Lie differentiation story, at least to the end of my talk. Just feel motivated for considering groupoid objects in H instead of H, or objects in H itself, or themselves. Fine. So some flow of definitions right now. So let me define groupoid objects derived from I morphism, which we know is effective epimorphism, as the double big pi of n. Double B G is just a groupoid object in H coming from the identity morphism. And last, double pair groupoid, just a groupoid object obtained by taking this functor on effective epimorphism of this type. And it's another amazing thing in toposes, that these morphisms are always effective epimorphisms unless this M is empty object. So this is very nice, and it equipped us with the canonical notion of pair groupoid. And now the transition from connection theory in H to connection theory in groupoidal object in H is on our current program, because of this memo. So I claim that by Vg is bijective to this. Okay, so once we started with the notion of connection here, I just reformulate the datum to this category under this bijection. And yeah, you can follow the proof quite easily, because what remains to be proved is that commutative squares of this type are in a bijective correspondence with morphisms from pi to BG themselves. Fine. This is not the full proof, of course, but for catching the flavor how it would be led. So right now we have quite good notion of connection in in the category of groupoidal objects in H. And last piece of data I need for the formulation of my main theorem is the notion of lift in the category of groupoids in H. So I would ask you for another row of grape because I'm gonna to erase the board.
Yeah, you should also wrap up maybe in the next 5 to 10 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, we will make it. I would be sad if I couldn't end this, because there is another speaker planned to next time. So if you have a short amount of time yet, I would be glad to follow the finish. Okay, I can be faster maybe. Just another one and maybe last definition. Let me define space double AT of V as a groupoidal object in H, which follows from this effective epimorphism. Okay, and of course, whenever we stand in the problem of finding some lifting morphisms, we need to unravel the commutativity requirements in the category H itself. For instance, and this is the case we are interested, if we have this diagram in groupoidal objects in H, we can show that liftings accounts to quite simple morphisms. To be even clearer, what I would like to do here, just uncover these symbols after the definitions. Okay. And define these morphisms to be identities on the top, and yeah, identities on the top and terminal morphisms. This is the only one. So the claim is that these lists bijectively corresponds to commutative diagrams, commutative triangles in former H. Okay. And this lift in groupoidal objects I will denote by tick, sigma, and this by ordinary thing, sigma. So the claim is that the liftings of this diagram bijectively corresponds to the commutative triangles here. You can check this when pass from this viewpoint to this one and want all the diagrams to be commutative. It ensures you to have this property satisfied. And the only one property which needs to be satisfied is this one. It is a good exercise. Okay, so my last theorem, and then I'll stop. Do you have any questions? So I have a question.
Maybe what's the box?
Yes.
Does it have a meaning, or is it just a point?
It has its own meaning.
Okay.
It's a notational meaning, not categorical. No. I'll because this will be used in the proof, so I will refer to this.
Okay. So it's
by this
notation for you. Okay.
Good question. Yes. Nothing really categorially deep.
Alright.
Maybe somebody in the audience could find a relationship between. Okay. Okay. So here is the theorem. Assume we are given some G. Then if nabla is over G, yeah, it's my timer. I'm out of the time, so you haven't heard anything. It's over. For G, G, then it uniquely determines morphism sigma in I0 for objects in H, such that this lift of this, and the second part, so part 1 and part 2 goes in a reverse direction if nabla is over. Oh, sorry. I started writing the proof of it. So this way, consider we have this space associated to some principal G bundle. G. Whenever we have a lift, then this morphism defined this way is over G. So this is these are two parts of the theorem which relate sections of some sequence and connections over fixed principal G bundle. Do you have enough time for the proof, or you are not very interested?
I don't personally.
Yeah, we believe in it. So proof is by authority.
Yeah, that's
Urs said
it. Maybe one last remark then. So proof is obvious.
Let's exercise.
Yeah. Urs exercise. Why am I entitled to call it section of an Atiyah sequence, of a generalized Atiyah sequence? This is the last remark, because
This is interesting that the Atiyah sequence split.
for n, an ordinary manifold, and every time expressing that n is an ordinary manifold, but I cannot guarantee you that it cannot be enlarged to arbitrary geometric infinity stack, because I'm not that far in understanding of some proof, Urs hints in this, so it might be used for formulation the Atiyah theory over higher base spaces. There is some chance. For an ordinary smooth manifold, we have that Lie functor applied on this object is in the homotopy category sense equivalent to the Lie differentiation functor applied per input. Right? So after we use this, we can formally apply this Lie functor to the whole, whole box. I can use this. Very good. And we end up having this. And after showing these jets are nothing but tangentially algebroids, showing that this one jet of comparison morphism between this double P and this double pair is an identity. We really obtain what we are willing to name section of some sequence in the realm of the algebras. Right? So this. Of course, some surjectivity and injectivity should be checked, since these categories are no longer behaved enough well to accommodate ordinary theorems. It is known that in some cases, Lie theorems fail in the higher category theory. So to get a proper bijective correspondence between sections of generalized Atiyah sequence and the differential cohomology theory on M, some development in the higher Lie theory should be done. Okay, without proof, but finished.
Okay, thank you. More questions?
I have a naive question. Can you provide us, maybe in the future, by an example?
Yes.
In the future? In the past, I cannot.
Yeah, also like this.
But regarding this, regarding the decomposition of the collection, of any collection, maybe it's easier, but if you work with formulas like Riemannian geometers often do, then they don't see this decomposition. But you are in the principal picture, principal bundle picture, so it might be fairly easy.
Yeah. I hope.
Some projection and some
Yes.
transport.
Since I know Jiří, I've been asking him for an example.
Yeah. But we made some examples. But in the former approach, and it has been shown that one jets computed in the setting which gave us Pavol Chevera is well suited for this theory, and also some findings in discrete geometries when one considers simplicial sets instead of simplicial pressures are well applicable in this theory. For instance, May's approach to principal bundles using twisting functions are quite a great simplification in the computational steps. And yeah, me with Brano made some computations where exactly those strategies have been involved. And I wouldn't say that we don't have any examples, right? But examples are too obscure. Nobody asked them further. Yeah, but of course, examples are gerbs, the connection of gerbs, which we do have. We have some explicit formulas.
So
we have
to see how mechanics, falls down.
Yeah, but
to the
you need to investigate presentations of all the higher category of stuff. This is the key for any more conceptual computation. To understand how these higher categorical statements descend to your one category. Because very surprisingly for me, still it's surprising for me, that you can model your higher category and all the phenomena around by one categories equipped with some extra structure. And the big result of Lurie is that infinity functors, like as text, it's a very special case of infinity functor, satisfying some descent condition, can be viewed as just pressheaves, or the category of pressheaves, with appropriate model structure, projective or injective. And it's amazing. You can do higher category theory or face like somebody who's doing higher category theory and at home do the one category of thoughts, right? But it's not illegal. There is a theorem comparing categories or models for these infinity one functors, and saying you are entitled to do all the theory in your model category of simplicial pressheaves, and whenever you would like to obtain the higher categorical world, it just suffices to make a simplicial localization. Localization along some weak equivalences or more subtle strategies whenever you are furnished with a model category structure. So this is legal, right? And this is why we can make some examples, at least in the future. Okay.
By the way, did you understand or figure out what James Chan was saying? That,
Not really.
Not really.
I must say that I haven't catch enough time for exploring the mail, her mail.
Because the only thing I understood from the talk is that Pavel had some mistake.
Yeah.
Which he got it.
Yeah. This project is ambitious in the sense that you can encounter at many points possibilities of enlarging and or generalizing or more exploration or bigger exploration. You can dare to enlarge the theory by considering not classifying morphisms in topos, but in a slice topos, which leads us to generalized geometries. You can count about fake, non-vanishing fake curvatures. You can adjust your parallel transporters and ask yourself, okay, what is the result in this spirit? What does it point to when we don't have only parallel transporters but adjusted parallel transporters? What does it imply to this theory? There are many points where you can be asking not yet asked questions.
Yeah. So, can you still ask? So since you have Atiyah itself, the higher observer algebraist doesn't know about flatness, right? It's just that you take some special section which gives you the flat connection. So what would be kind of so in the ordinary case, right? I have Atiyah algebraic, and if I take a section and ask it to be a morphism of of algebraics, right? From the end to
yes. This is exactly what.
So then it's flat. And if I take any section, then it's non-flat, right?
Yes.
In general.
But beware of the naming. Beware of the naming. Even though I call it flat connections, those infinity fundamental groupoids are suspected to encode the richer data. I think it's under development, but there exist pages on NLab saying that truncations of higher fundamental groupoid are not lower fundamental groupoids, but in the smooth category, they are path groupoids. So having a path groupoid, we no longer insist on having a really flat connection in the differential geometry sense of the word. It just said, it just imposed the condition on fake curvatures to vanish, right? So this is a little question mark whether we consider these objects and their truncations, whether we really ends up having tangent Lie algebras in case of, let's say, higher stacks. Because this is, as we know from the theory, ordinary connections and ordinary Atiyah theory, here having TM really force us to consider flat connections in the strict sense, in the sense that full connection data, curvature data has to vanish. Right? So